Count it up, Ringo.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Go away somewhere all bright and new. I have seen no other who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, go find a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your trouble and worry. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free.
She said, Andy, you're better than your past. Winked at me and drained her glass. Cross-legged on a bar stool like nobody sits anymore. She said, Andy, you're taking me home. But I knew she planned to sleep alone. I'd carry her to bed, sweep up the hair from her floor. If I'd fucked her before she got sick, I'd never hear the end of it. She don't have the spirit for that now. We just drink our drinks and laugh out loud, bitch about the weekend crowd and try to ignore the elephant somehow. She said, Andy, you crack me up. Seagram's in a coffee cup. Sharecropper eyes and the hair almost all gone. She was drunk, she made cancer jokes, made up her own doctor's notes. Surrounded by her family, I saw that she was dying alone. But I'd sing her classic country songs, and she'd get high and sing along. She don't have a voice to sing with now. We burn these joints in effigy, cry about what we used to be, try to ignore the elephant somehow. I've buried her 1,000 times, giving up my place in line, but I don't give a damn about that now. There's one thing that's real clear to me: no one dies with dignity. We just try to ignore the elephant somehow. We just try to ignore the elephant somehow. We just try to ignore the elephant somehow. Somehow.
Just wait till you see that face. It brings a smile to everyone. The dancing has just begun. The beer's colder, there's girls on your shoulder. So pray that this song never ends. Seems the good times have lasted a lifetime. It's too late to turn around. So drink up, let's party down. Dance with the girls that make us feel young again. And pray that this song never ends. Let's bow our heads and say a prayer for the death of the life of the party. Music is ended, the dancing
friends, loved ones, and family. It's an honor and a privilege for us to participate in this amazing tribute today for a very special person, my brother.
And my brother-in-law. And our friend, Brendan McGuire, also known as Stu. And if you didn't know, Stu is short from Brendan.
I told her we'd make her funny. And I'm Shawn, Brendan's brother. And I'd like to introduce to you some of our immediate family. You in the front, Brendan's parents, John and Marie McGuire, as we affectionately call them Meme and Pepe, because Brendan took French and he wanted to call them Meme and Pepe. It took a while to get used to that, but we did. My family, my wife Amy, my son Grady, my daughter Ella, and Brendan's aunt and uncle and their family, Uncle Mac, Aunt Donna, Cousin Matt, and Cousin Phil, who couldn't be here today with us, couldn't make the trip. And then, one thing to note too for my aunt and uncle, I just want to thank them. We've been at their house for 2 weeks. We've come back and forth and stayed there, and you don't know how much we appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you.
And I'm Kathy. If you can't tell, I'm Lee's sister. A lot of you called me Lee today. See, I'm funny. So I'm Brendan's sister-in-law, and I'd like to introduce some of my immediate family. So we have my father at the end here, Dick Walsh, who we call Sharky. Brendan came up with that nickname. He's very good at it, apparently. So my dad cannot stop moving. He always has somewhere to be, somewhere to go. So we call him Sharky. And then we have my brother, John, and his wife, Jane Allard, and his kids, Freya and Laura Allard Walsh. And then my husband, Eric, and our children, Isla and Archer, so all the front here. Before we start the service, we'd like to thank a few people and organizations that made this incredible, incredible service happen.
Live Nation, CIMS and Stephen Glenner, Bergston Music, Hotel Commonwealth, Acme Print Company, Dan Ellswick of Queen City Pictures, Dersh Flowers, Jay and Christine and Josh, Don Law and the entire Crossroads team, and the Red Sox organization. In addition, there's so many people behind the scenes that have been absolutely amazing to put this together, to help Lee and the family, and to really get us here today.
Yep. And Josh Smith and Ben Stoppelman, thank you. We'd also like to thank Live Nation and Hope House. They're both Lee and Brendan's employers, and by the way they've acted through this time, you wouldn't know that. Their support and understanding over the last 21 months has just been incredible. Also, it's important for us to note that Lee and Brendan like to pay it forward for the families who are on this journey who do not have the amazing support network that they have. Their family encourages you to donate to Caring for a Cure. It's an organization they hold near and dear to their heart. They've received tokens of love from it over the last 21 months. Brendan's nurses and their extraordinary care team are instrumental in this organization.
I'm sure by now you've realized that today is not your normal funeral service, and it's hosted by two of the least creative people in the room. CPA, finance. However, today we're going to hear from several of Brendan's friends, co-workers, bandmates, family members, in addition to several performers who are going to share songs that are meaningful to both Brendan and Lee. All of these people are very special to the McGuire family, and we are so thankful that they can be part of these services.
So our first singer, we'd like to introduce Brendan's cousin, Matt Gregorio, who's going to sing In My Life by the Beatles. And he actually sang this song at their wedding many years ago.
Good afternoon, everyone. There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. All these places have their moments. With lovers and friends, I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more. Thank you.
Just so we're clear, I'm not going to sing. Right, Matt? We leave that to Matt. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about my friend. And my brother, Brendan. Give me one sec, Elbow. He was amazing. An amazing husband, uncle, son, father, brother, and friend. I'd like to do my best to share some of my favorite Brendan stories with you today. You know, for most of our childhood, Brendan was my brother, actually. For you friends from Rainham, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, sometimes it worked in his favor. Sometimes it didn't. But I remember the day that I became Brendan's brother. We're at the dog track working. Pepe got Brendan the job. Brendan got me the job. Bussing tables. You know, I'd come back from school. One of the cooks needed something. And, you know, I have no business working in a restaurant. I didn't know what I was doing. Cook looks at me and yells, "Hey, Brendan's brother." Whole kitchen froze. He looked at me and was like, "You hear that? You're my brother, dude." And you know what? It's a title I'll be more than happy to take. You know, when I think many of us think of Brendan, you know, you think of music. You know, I know I do, one of the many things. And I was lucky. You know, I had a backstage pass at the beginning, you know, watching him develop his passion. You know, watching my parents buy stuff, you know, saxophones, pianos, lessons, guitars, you know, fixing vans. I mean, just that kind of stuff. You know, I also remember when they practiced in the basement. You know, we saw an amazing show the other night. That was not what they were practicing in the basement at 16 years old. I'm just saying. So when it comes to stories on the road, you know, I travel, stay in nice hotels, you know, go to conferences. Not these guys. These guys came to visit us, black belt years. They're in this stinky bus, or not bus, a van. Sorry, Bob, van. And they come to Florida. It's hot. They get out. My wife and I are there. They go jump in the pool at the apartment complex. They spend a night. They eat all our Klondike bars. You know, I thought they were all vegan. I didn't understand what was going on. But we were happy to have them. We loved having them. You know, fast forward a few years later, you know, we're in Atlanta. They're driving through. We see a show in Atlanta. It's awesome. They're like, hey, we're going to Alabama, Birmingham, 2 hours away, Furnace Fest. I don't know, some of you guys maybe been to Furnace Fest? I've never been. Watch them play, have a great time. They played early in the day too, so it was nice. Probably had a couple beers, taking in some music, probably like 3 o'clock. I'm like, hey man, great show, a lot of fun, this was awesome. When are we heading back? He looks at me and laughs. Heading back? Back where? Like, I don't know, back to Atlanta, you gotta take me home, you know. He's like, yeah, we'll go soon, we're gonna go when we get paid. Like, when do you get paid? You guys all know when you get paid, right? You get paid at the end of the show. What time's the show gonna end, dude? I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock? So I think we went to 7-Eleven, got a case of Budweiser, watched the music all day. They dropped me off at 4 in the morning. And I'm gonna tell you, it was fun to be on tour for 1 day. 1 day. That life was not for me. You know, I remember meeting Lee for the first time. I actually saw the picture up there, Christmas at our house. My wife was back with me, we were there. And, you know, I feel like Lee must have been important enough. It was early, they're dating. You know, she came to the house and he wanted to get her a present. So he asked my wife, hey, thinking about getting her a jewelry box. You know, what do you think? Because she was always really good about stuff like that. And she says, well, does she have any jewelry, Brendan? No, I don't think she does. She says, well, I don't know if that's probably the best gift. So I think he got her a Walkman. He didn't ask me. I don't think he asked Aim. And then I remember when they're opening gifts, Lee got him a glider ride. You know, those things without an engine that glide in the air. And I think he said something like, you trying to kill me? Like, I don't understand this. And you know what? We had a great Christmas, and it was the beginning of an amazing life full of love and togetherness that they had together. So just so you guys know, early Christmas presents are not leading indicators of future relationship status. Sorry, that's that finance stuff. I apologize. As an uncle, listen, he's amazing. When we first had our kids, he was there to hold them and play with them, like an old pro. You know, we showed him how he played the guitar. He'd play video games with Grady. He let Ella bust his chops every chance she could. You know, he loved talking sports. You know, there's nothing better than watching Grady and Brendan talk sports. They both loved it. It was awesome. You know, one year he and Lee came to visit during Halloween. I think I saw the pictures. You know, they came down. We were dressed as Scooby-Doo because, you know, we're just corny and do stuff like that. Brendan, Lee, and Nora were pirates. Said, hey, dude, we got to carry this wagon around. I think we put the little one in the wagon, filled the wagon with beer, walked around the neighborhood, and just enjoyed Halloween at, you know, 88 degrees in Florida. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. You know, Brendan is a son. He's a great son. He's always respectful. Loved his parents very much. They were very proud of him, supported his music at an early age. I remember Brendan and Pepe telling me how they bought one of those early vans and all the things they needed to do to get it ready. Build the shelf, places to sleep. You know, they're going to go on tour. I don't know who lets their 16, 17-year-old kid go on tour. I mean, I guess they did. I don't know. We're very lucky. We got to do whatever we wanted when we were kids. I do have one non-music story that we would tell a lot as kids. You know, I played a lot of golf as a kid. Brendan, not so much. When Brendan was young, him and Pepe went to golfing and came back, and my mother, you know, Meme, we love you, said, hey, how was it? And Brendan said, it was great. Daddy had 6 beers and I had 6 Cokes. Brendan didn't go golfing much after that. No, he did, but it was, you know. Being a father and family man, I remember how happy he was when his girls were born. You know, especially Nora, watching him balance, touring, being married, having a little one, all the sacrifices he had to make. He made being a father look easy. It was like it was second nature to him. He never seemed to get worked up or stressed. He never sweated the small stuff. One year we came up to visit, and we weren't big picture takers as kids. We didn't have a lot of the family dress-up portraits. But we went and did one, and it was a long day. 3 hungry kids, I want this, I want that. I don't know if he put the picture up of us sitting in the rowboat, just why not? And Nora was little, and we taught her to cheer for the Red Sox. We'd say Red Sox, and we'd all cheer. We'd say Yankees, and we would say boo. We're not going to say the other thing today. As our girls get older, watching from afar, watching them come to shows, meeting the folks at the Orpheum and here at the House of Blues, knowing the kids have rooms that they can go to and be with them and be in such an awesome environment. It's just amazing to watch. Love the pictures of the girls backstage, big headphones, curls, it doesn't get any better than that. Brendan's my friend. Listen, he was one of the coolest guys that I knew. I know he wasn't a rock star, that's not the term, but when you're someone like me, dude's a rock star. Traveling Europe, Asia, all over the country, Great Wall of China, all I'm gonna say. It's not my story. Anytime I went to a show, a VIP treatment. I can't tell you how many times. You're Brendan's brother, right? Yep. You're Brendan's brother, right? Yep. Well, let's come back over here. Let me show you this. It didn't matter where I was, wherever he was, he treated me like a VIP. I was a big sports guy, so he'd call, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working, man. What do you want? He goes, I'm just in the Red Sox dugout, setting up the drop kick. Just thought I'd rub it in. Click. All right, thanks, dude. Goes to the World Series. Oh, hey, what are you doing? I don't know what. Oh, we flew to Colorado watching the World Series. Just want to rub it in. I loved it. Anytime he was in town, we tried to go to a game. Why not, right? That's what you do. He loved playing poker. He was good at it, right? This guy doesn't have a poker face. Last time we were here, we played. He took all my money, and then some lady took all his money, so it all worked out. And he loved his family and friends. He loved his life, and he was loved by all. Whew, this is a hard one. As I stand here before you today, as Brendan's brother, I would be naive to think I was his only brother. After meeting so many of you over the years, and especially over the past few weeks, and as we listen to some of the amazing people we're going to hear from today, I want you all to know it's truly an honor and a privilege to be a part of this family. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Girls, we love you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shawn. Our next speaker is Brendan's good friend and former boss, Tim McKenna, who's been instrumental in this beautiful day today. So come on up, Tim.
I've been reading the online tributes for Brendan for the last week and a half. I wanted to post one myself, but I had trouble putting my feelings into just one paragraph. I didn't want to be that guy who wrote a novel on Facebook just to have everyone comment, sorry dude, TL, DR. So I want to thank the family for letting me share some memories here. My name is Tim McKenna, and I've been involved in the music scene on Lansdowne Street for over 30 years. I first met Stu 20 years or so ago through that scene, working or playing with local bands, primarily at that time the Dropkicks. He was one of those tattoo guys that seemed to gravitate towards this end of the street. When he was off tour, he'd do load-ins and load-outs with us at Avalon. For years, he was in my phone simply as Stu DKM. He said he would rather work with us than deliver paper, which was his other off-tour job. The guy was always working. When Nora was a baby, he told me he wanted to get off the road. I said, cool, Megadeth is loading in Thursday at 11. Be there. When we built House of Blues, he was one of our first hires. He did everything we asked. After a couple of years of being one of our go-to stagehands, both my light guys went on tour at the same time. We made Brendan learn lights. He had to learn to program the board and climb on these trusses and focus. He's not a small man, so it was not something he was super comfortable with. But he never complained. He did what needed to be done. After the lighting gig, we wanted to find him another skill job so he could get his rate. After all, he had another kid on the way. The stage manager job opened up, and he was a perfect candidate for the job. He was able to mentor the green stagehands and calm down the crustiest roadie. On corporate shows, he was able to keep cool, even with the toughest clients. Although I didn't participate, I'm told the after-work hangs were epic. He did his part in putting the Mexican restaurant down the street out of business because no one seemed to pay. Apparently, there were two approaches to after-work. There was either 2 and screw, or the more legendary, stew till 2. His professionalism and skill at his job soon became noticed in the company, and it wasn't long before Mike poached him to be a production manager for bigger shows at bigger venues. At this point, he told me he was going to rebrand. He was Brendan now. He did all of this for his family. He was a girl dad before it was a hashtag. He brought the kids to work. Our offices still have their drawings on the wall that they drew. There's a picture in my office with the caption, "Best Baby Daycare." As a husband and father, he set the bar high. As a friend, he was unequaled. When I grow up, I want to be more like Brendan. I'm not a poker player, and I'm clearly not a punk rocker. That didn't matter to Brendan. He was comfortable in many divergent circles. Look around this room. There's a group that would ordinarily not mix. We are all here because Brendan was in our life. He was equally at home at the Y with rockers, gamblers, or the PTA. When he first got his diagnosis, he reached out to me because I had gone through a similar deal the year before. We talked about trying to make our friends feel better because they were uncomfortable with our disease. I knew not to call him on chemo days, tried to time our talks and visits for the week off from chemo. I was glad to be able to give him rides up to Mass General. One of my fondest memories was the balloon day on the roof of the parking garage across from the chemo ward. My daughter and I and so many friends waving at people in the windows. At the hospital, that was a great morning. And when the treatment stopped working, he called and said not to put off any visits. That call took an amazing amount of courage. Most people wouldn't do that. Nobody likes to talk about death. You know, this is a celebration of life. But we don't have those unless somebody's dead, somebody dies. Brendan's body is dead, but his spirit is right here in this room with us today. He will be with us forever. Some of his ashes are going to be placed underneath stage right, his section, so that he will always be on Lansdowne Street. Stage right Stu will live on forever. He showed us how to live with dignity and ultimately how to die with dignity. I will miss you, but I'm glad you were in my life.
Thank you, Tim. Please welcome good friend and bandmate, Zach Jordan, as he sings Hear You Me by Jimmy Eat World.
Hi, I'm Zach. This is Aaron. This is Bobby. We played in a band called Bane with Stu for many years. I just wanted to, Lee had asked us to play this song, and of course we said yes. And then I got a video this morning from her that 2 years ago, to this day, her and Brendan were sitting at the Blue Hills Pavilion watching this band sing this song. So it's a pleasure to play it today. There's no one in town that I know. You gave us some place to go. I never said thank you for that. I thought I might get one more chance. So what would you think of me now? So lucky, so strong, so proud. I never said thank you for that. And now I'll never have a chance. May angels lead you in. Hear me, my friends. On sleepless roads the sleepless go. May angels lead you in. So what would you think of me now? So lucky, so strong, so proud. I never said thank you for that. And now I'll never have a chance. May angels lead you in. Hear me, my friends. On sleepless roads the sleepless go. May angels lead you in. 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 If you were with me tonight, I'll sing for you just one more time. A heart for a heart so big, and God wouldn't let it live. May angels lead you in. Hear me, my friends. On sleepless roads the sleepless go. May angels lead you in. May angels lead you in. Hear me, my friends. On sleepless roads the sleepless go. May angels lead you in. On sleepless roads the sleepless go. May angels lead you in.
Zach, Bob, Aaron, that was just stunning. Thank you so much. So I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Brendan's friend and former boss, Mike Moretti. Oh, I said that wrong. I'm sorry, Marchetti.
I'm not sure I'll beat Timmy's or Top Timmy's talk about Brendan, but I'll do my best. Welcome, family and friends of Stu and Brendan. Lee, Nora, and Lennon, we are deeply saddened by the loss of your dad, husband, and our teammate. I did not know Brendan as Stu, but Stu is Brendan. Seems like Stu had a great life. first show I signed Brendan to was at the Somerville Theater. He said to me, "Do you think I can handle this?" I said, "Without a doubt, but my phone's on 24/7 if you need me." When he was assigned to the pavilion, he said the same thing. And I said, "My phone's on 24/7. Well, for the first year, he blew up my phone every show. With that said, he filled the stage at the pavilion with a great big smile, confidence, and professionalism. Brendan always called the pavilion my house, but for 5 years it was Brendan's house. And his legacy will live on like so many others before him. I will miss his voice. In closing, I want to extend my love to Lee, Nora, and Lennon. Please understand everyone in this room here is to support you. Sometimes people are afraid to reach out and talk. Please pick up that phone and call, any one of us. I have learned what loving a friend means. I have also learned what losing a teammate means. Please support Lee and Nora and Lennon in any way you can. Stu deserves that. And Brendan, I love you.
Thank you, Mike. Please welcome great friends, family friends, Chris and Winnie Briggs.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris. This is my wife, Winnie, and we're here with our daughters, Maya and Hannah. We are truly honored and thankful to have been asked by Eileen to say a few words about Brendan.
We met Brendan over 20 years ago through his then girlfriend, Eileen, or Lee, as most of you refer to her as. Eileen and I were co-workers at the body shop. We quickly became the best of friends, and she was my maid of honor when Chris and I got married. Brendan was always the kind of guy who was ready and willing to help out, and he had an amazing ability to get any job done. Our brother-in-law vividly remembers Brendan helping our wedding planner with decorations and assembling the arch for our ceremony. All this was done without anyone asking him for help. Brendan and Eileen became more than just friends to us about 12 years ago when we both had our oldest daughters within 8 months apart from each other. We began to rely on each other for help raising our girls. Brendan and Eileen always said yes when we asked for help, even if it meant changing their own plans. Brendan was amazing with the girls. He would often play his guitar so that they could have a dance party. Our girls were always excited to spend time at the McGuires, and Brendan was a big reason for that. Knowing that our girls were in good hands for all those sleepovers meant the world to us. Over the years, just about any plans that we made, such as strawberry picking, trips to the museum, trick-or-treating, football games, parades, and cookouts, automatically included the McGuire family. One of Hannah's favorite memories of Brendan was going to Storytime Tuesdays at the movie theater at Patriot Place and then having lunch at Red Robin afterwards. We planned vacations together to Storyland, Santa's Village, and various campgrounds in New Hampshire and Maine. And of course, we cannot forget our yearly trips to the Cape. One year, we had all gone to the beach and the ocean was quite cold. Maya remembers Brendan being the only adult willing to brave the cold water in order to help her and Nora ride the waves on their boogie boards over and over again.
Other than our vacations together, for me, a lot of great memories with Brendan involve sports and poker. He loved spending long hours at the poker table and telling me about his big wins and his bad beats. Only a few years ago, we went to Vegas together with a few friends. Brendan insisted on sleeping on an air mattress on the floor of the hotel room to save money to put towards poker. I remember him not even making it to the hotel room the first night because he was at the poker table all night and into the following afternoon. Brendan, Eileen, Winnie, and I started playing cribbage a few years ago during one of our Cape vacations. Brendan loved to take credit for his team's victories. One of his favorite things to say to his game partner was, "When you look back and see only one step of footprints, no, that was when I was carrying you." We attended many Red Sox, Patriots, and even a Revs game together. I will always remember a Sunday night Patriots game at Gillette Stadium in 2013, when the wind chill had to be well below zero. I remember our beers turning to ice. What made it worse were the Patriots were down 24-0 to Peyton Manning and the Broncos at half. During halftime, we had to huddle in a packed men's bathroom for warmth. Brendan and I agreed that we should just watch the first drive of the second half from the concourse and then head home. The Patriots quickly scored a touchdown on the first drive to start the third quarter, so we headed back to our seats, and we got to watch the second best comeback of Tom Brady's career. They wound up winning the game in overtime, and suddenly the cold wasn't so bad. We also watched the best comeback of Tom Brady's career against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. We watched that one from the comfort of our couch. Brendan's biggest worry after getting sick were his daughters. I told him they were in good hands. Eileen will continue to take care of them. And along with all his friends, we will do everything we can for Eileen, Nora, Lennon, and of course, Banner. Brendan was an amazing father. Although his time with Lennon and Nora was cut short, they are well on their way to becoming amazing women due to his loving guidance, parenting, kindness, and compassion.
We've always known how much Brendan meant to our family. Over the course of this past week, it has become evident the profound impact that Brendan has made on this world. From all the posts on social media, to his tribute concert last Friday, to all the personal stories we've heard, Brendan McGuire had a very positive influence on countless people from all walks of life. Hearing these stories and connecting with his friends has helped our family deal with his loss. The amount of gratitude and love that we have for Brendan is immeasurable. We will forever miss him. To Brendan, Eileen, Nora, and Lennon, we love you so much.
Thank you for the waterworks, Chris and Winnie. It was beautiful. Next, I'd like to welcome Joe Gittleman and Tim Brennan as they perform Brendan's favorite song, True Believers by the Bouncing Souls. Gentlemen.
Check, check. Hi, everybody. It feels good to be with these beautiful McGuire Walsh family and friends. So, thanks. Some of them split, some of them stay. Some of them walk, some walk on by. I've got a few friends that I'll love till I die. From all these people I try to learn. Some of them shine, some of them burn. Some of them rise, some of them fall. For good or for bad, I've known them all. never really listen to what they say. The kind of faith that doesn't fade away. We are the true believers. We are the true believers. Well, you can fight or you can run. Hide under a rock till the war is won. Play it safe and don't make a sound. But not us, we won't back down. True believers all the way. You and I. True believers all the way. You and I. We live our life in our own way. Never really listen to what they say. The kind of faith that doesn't fade away. We are the true believers. We are the true believers. Thank you, everybody. Love you, Stu.
Thank you, guys. That was awesome. Please welcome Brennan's friend since childhood, Brian Waterman.
Bear with me. I wrote this and rewrote this about 100 times, and realized I'm probably going to cry for 5 minutes. You wouldn't understand anything anyway, so I have the transcript here if anybody's interested. Let's grab everyone's email address before I leave. I need to start off by giving my heartfelt thanks to Lee, to all of our family, for allowing me the time to speak to you all about my friend Brendan. It's impossible to capture a lifetime of stories in just 5 minutes, but let me start with the first time I ever recall seeing Brendan. It was 3rd grade. Now, I can hardly remember yesterday, but for some reason I can still see this kid, his jet black hair, that little skip to his step. He was wearing this t-shirt with the 3/4 black sleeves with this kick-ass Black Panther on the front, glowing eyes and everything. And on the back, it had his name, Brendan, B-R-E-N-D-A-N. And I remember thinking, I think they spelled his name wrong. But that's okay, he's probably tough. There are times I remember sitting in his room listening to records, and he'd play some Zeppelin, some Van Halen. He had to play Ice Cream Man over and over again. He put on Wing Cry's Mary. He grabbed his guitar and was like, watch this. And he played along to that little riff, again, over and over again. I didn't mind. I loved every second of it. We played Little League. We actually won a championship when we were 15, and that's when he officially hung up his cleats. In gym class, we'd talk about this new band, Nirvana, that we thought was pretty cool. At least we did anyway. He set a record for eating 12 chili cheese dogs at Tex Barry's in Taunton. He was very proud of that. And that would drive me to live a life of a vegan lifestyle as well. But, Stereotypical high school shenanigans, daily breakfast runs at a small diner near school, parties in the woods and places that most cars couldn't get to. There were apartments, nothing short of a health hazard. Just ask Eric Sinlinger. He was right there with him. There's this place in Somerville. Brendan's room was literally a walk-in closet with a mattress. He'd let me sleep there when he was out on the road. So there's just too much to say here. So if you're ever interested, just go find Eric, Dan Bromley, Ben Yell. We all grew up with Brendan. We have plenty to share. As Shawn mentioned earlier, it was just he and Brendan growing up in Rainham, their mom and dad. Shawn was a great baseball player, and that was certainly his thing. But Brendan would hear the occasional comparison from coaches, and there were some expectations, but he felt like he needed to do something else. I believe it's what drove him towards pursuing music, which was really his dream. What drove him even more so was that music was his own path. No one laid this out for him. No one really gave him any direction, or so much as a shove. He'd messed around with the guitar for years, but in high school, he finally hooked up with a few guys, including Bobby Mahoney, who you'll hear from shortly, to form his first few bands with names that he later went on to regret, but hey, he was 17. Fast forward a few years, those of us that grew up with Brendan thought he was living a life that was pretty extraordinary. I've told Brendan this, that I actually lived vicariously through him, wanting to hear all of his stories about the places he's been, the people he's met. I really held him up on this pedestal. I often wondered why any guy who's been all over the world with so many friends, why would he ever reach out to a nobody, boring guy like me? Out of nowhere, just to say hi, see how I was doing, or ask if I wanted to go grab some beers or dinner, or if I'd be his date to go on a Sox game or a show. And yes, that's how he put it. Will you be my date? I never said no. He could very easily have written off his past, but he just wouldn't. Brendan knew what mattered to him most. It's friends, it's family, it's love. And he was very unapologetic about making his life choices based on that. He never made excuses. He once flew across the country when he was on the road, then drove all the way up to Burlington, Vermont, just in time for my wedding. Quick sidebar. Later that night in the parking lot, Brendan decided it was fitting to show us his boxers. I don't know if you knew this about him. He liked to commemorate special occasions by dropping his pants. He did it at my wedding, did it at Dan's wedding, most likely Eric's. He did it at his own wedding. In fact, we all joined him for that one. There are pictures out there, so just please burn them if you have them. The poor guy was green when Lee drove him back to the airport the very next morning, but just the fact that he even made it meant the world to me. My favorite quote from one of the podcasts that Brendan did, talking about his time with Bain, was when he said, "At the end of the day, you got to do what your heart tells you to do." I want to take a moment to personally thank all of you here, and those of you, especially those of you who got to know Brendan as Stu through his life in music, particularly his brothers in Bain. Brendan also said in one of his recorded interviews about his first Bain show, "This is all I ever wanted." How many of us can honestly say that? This entire community, this family, was his dream come true. Last Friday's show, right here, was the epitome of all the outpouring of love and support that this community has given him and his 3 girls. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank each and every one of you for loving him as I do. But every bit of that love that we all feel for Brendan needs to be projected tenfold right in the direction of these 3 beautiful, strong girls. Lee. Brendan told me himself multiple times just how lucky he was to have you, Nora, and Lennon. He spoke of you 3 as if you were a gift. I mean that. You gave him love and purpose and all the jobs he ever had. None was better than being your husband and your daddy. I love you girls. We all love you girls. To Brendan, my friend, my brother, I love you and I miss you. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. That was really wonderful. Please welcome Brendan's good friends and bandmates from Bain, Aaron Bedard and Bob Mahoney.
Hi, I'm Aaron. Played in a band with Stu for a lot of years. Toured the world with him. Played a lot of poker with him. He's a good friend of mine. I'm going to try not to swear, say anything blasphemous. I'm going to really try. But I do want to comment on this choice of venue, how perfect I think it is, how beautiful I think it is that this is being held here in this room. One thing about Stu is he had no room in his life for hypocrisy or compromise. This is where this belongs to happen. I'm not going to exaggerate or lie to you or say that this place was his church or his touchstone or anything like that. It wouldn't be true. Anyone who knew Stu knew that his heart lied with Lee and Nora and Lennon. He loved nothing more than being a father and being a husband. And you only had to be around him for 10 minutes for him to tell you so. And the more drinks he had in him, the longer he would tell you all about how those three girls were his heart, were his everything, and we were just getting to borrow him for a little while. But this is special to him, these rooms, these venues. I really think that he saw true worth in what takes place on these stages, and being the guy who's a part of bringing the lights up, having people gather to listen to and enjoy music. I think that was really important to Stu in a way of community, in a way of his belief that people are better when they're brought together, when we're gathered in a room. The laughs are louder, the screams are better. He really believed in community. So I got the call in September of 2019. He called me personally to tell me that he was sick, that he had pancreatic cancer. We talked on the phone, and after the heartbreak and the shock of that set in, we got off the phone, I realized how sort of crazy it was that he had called me. I'm not his brother. I'm not a member of his family. I'm just a guy he played music with and played a lot of cards with. And I realized that Stu was sitting at home with a list of names on his lap, and he was going down this list and calling us all personally so that he could be there to endure our response to this terrible news. He wanted to be there to help us through it. And I knew then that this is going to be a different sort of a journey, that a door was opening and I was being led into his family. And it was quickly confirmed as we began to gather at the hospital for his chemotherapy treatments. And I was meeting a lot of people that I didn't know before, a lot of people from other areas of his life, playing cribbage with guys. I had guys coming in Hawaiian shirts and tattoos, telling great Warped Tour stories and stories about being on the road with the Murphys and the drop kicks. And there was this guy, Sal. I kept hearing about this person, Sal. Stu had a blanket, and on this blanket was I don't know how you do it, but he had a photograph on this blanket of a scantily clad Sal. And Stu loved that blanket, I'll tell you. Every nurse that came in the room, he said, "Hey, did you see my friend Sal?" So yeah, I meet all kinds of, just like people I didn't really know. You know, I knew Stu from the road and from the casino. And Lee was our tireless leader. She was the one who pulled us all together at a time when she could have done the exact opposite. She could have shut it down. She could have crawled up into a hole and just dealt with this in her own way, and she refused to do that. She wanted Stu to have as much light and love, and most importantly, life, in the time that he had left. Every day she was thinking of ways where he could be confirmed that you are alive, and this is what it feels like to be surrounded with people who love you. And yeah, my favorite example of that, someone touched on it earlier, was this sort of gathering that we did on the rooftop. I'll tell you the story if you don't mind. It started, there were only 5 or 6 of us, right? It was just a few of us. You know, last summer in the middle of the pandemic, we couldn't go into MGH anymore and play cribbage with him while he got chemotherapy. We weren't allowed to be in there. We couldn't distract him, and it was just the worst. And Lee decided that what we'll do is we're going to go up onto the roof of this garage where there's a sort of a pathway that ran from the elevator along this corridor down to where you checked in for chemo. And out that window, you could see us on the roof of this garage. And 5 or 6 of us gathered there, and we had some balloons. There was a banner that said "Believe." And we waited for Stu to come down, and he saw us and smiled, and some nurses came and took photos, and that was all we needed that day was to make him smile. And then the next month, Lee wanted to do it again. And I said, great, let's do it. We'll go back up there. And I showed up a little late. When I got to that roof, there was about 60 people on that roof. There were people and kids and family. They had a helium machine that we could just blow up balloons. There were hundreds of balloons on this roof. And yeah, we were becoming a tight circle. We were growing closer and closer. And I'd be lying to you if I said that we weren't all scared. We were all terribly scared. We didn't say it to each other, but you could see it in this glassy look we all had in our eyes that maybe this all isn't going to be enough. Maybe all of the love, all of the support. I was walking around with crystals in my pockets, squeezing those things, all the Reiki and acupuncture. What if it's not going to be enough to save our friend? And I realized that as much as we needed to be there for him and for Lee and Nora and Lennon, we all needed to be there for each other. This group that had taken shape, we were going to need to help each other through this terrible time. And that was by design. That was not an accident. That goes back to what I was saying earlier, further confirmation of Stu's belief in community and in people gathering and in love being amongst a network. He really showed us that. He really needed us to learn that. I think it was his greatest gift to me personally, his gift of love and grace to bring all of these different corners of his life. The House of Blues folks, the Live Nation folks, the casino people, the people that he rode with, teching, the band members. There were people we were meeting that just lived on the street, that were just their neighbors and that needed to be a part of this. He brought us all together into one group of friends, one group of people who really were focused on this one task. And I just want to close by saying that this is not the end of the story. This is but one extremely sad chapter, but tomorrow the work is going to continue. You're not going to get rid of us. Those girls are going to grow up with a bunch of uncles. You're going to get turned on to a lot of cool bands. You're going to hear a lot of really amazing stories about your dad, about the things he did. None of us are going to tell them as well as Stu would have, but we're going to try. I just want to say I was really honored to be able to be a part of the family as closely as I was, and to be amongst people who truly stepped forward, stepped up to do the heavy lifting when it was time. Thank you all so much.
One time. Can I get a Thank you. Make that a little better. 28 years ago, I met Brendan. Little did I know I was meeting my soulmate, my blues brother. as Brian touched on, a lifetime of memories and experiences. I could be up here all day long. But a lot of questions, the one question that I felt was asked of me a lot the other night at the show was, how did he become Stu? And I think that's a fitting story to tell. So let me tell you about Stu, short for Brendan. Bring it back to 2000, the year 2000, Reach the Skies on the tour in the middle of somewhere USA. And we're chipping away at a long drive after a show. Destination is a motel. Brendan is driving, and a friend of ours, Matt Galley, is riding shotgun. Galley is navigating with a big old Rand McNally map book. Ian, the singer of Reach the Sky, and I are in and out of drunken sleep in the back of the van. We estimated the drive to only be about an hour, and after some time, I wake up to Ian asking, shouting, if we're getting close. And a typical response then was, shut up and worry about the seat you're on. And one of them say, we are getting close. Some more time passes, like we should be there already time. And I awake again to Ian shouting, where are we going? Why aren't we there? And I turn around and say, shut up and go to sleep. Ian doesn't go back to sleep. Continues shouting and proceeds to say, you got Stu and Pitt up there driving us in circles. And Brendan, in his funny fashion, says, well, hey, who am I then? And in perfect cue, Ian and I scream, Stu. In that same year, our first time to Europe, Brendan would solidify it once he introduced himself as Stu to foreigners. In an era where nicknames were given and forgotten about, Stu stood the test of time. A legend, my friend, my brother. This doesn't happen for anyone. Stu, short for Brennan. Another best friend of mine, John, he sent me this quote. The saddest part of life is when a person who gives you some of the best memories becomes a memory. Who he was, how he lived, who I am, because of him, his memory will be with me forever. To Eileen, Nora, Lennon, just like your husband, just like your father, was always there for me, I will always be there for you. Brendan J. McGuire, I love you, man. I miss you.
Thank you, Aaron and Bob. Please welcome Kevin Rowe to the stage as he performs Thank You by Led Zeppelin. Brendan had Thank You engraved on Lee's wedding band for this song.
Hey everyone, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. It's the very least I could do, and thank you for having me, for asking me. Not only do I love Stu, but I love everyone here, so thank you all for being here.
If the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. When mountains crumble to the sea, there will still be you and me. Kind woman, I give you my all. Kind woman, nothing more. Little drops of rain, whispers of the pain, tears of love lost in the days gone by. My love is strong, with you there is no wrong. Together we shall go until we die. And inspiration's what you are to me. An inspiration, look and see. So today my world it smiles. Your hand in mine, we walk the miles. Thanks to you, it will be done. For you to me are the only one. Happiness, no more be sad. Happiness, I'm glad. If the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. When mountains crumble to the sea, there will still be you and me.
Thank you, Kevin. Now it's my turn to try not to cry. Believe me, it's going to be hard. Brendan and Lee have touched so many lives for the better. This week I've read and heard countless tributes, stories, and memories about kindness, mentoring, friendship, and fun. Here are a few things people have said that I would like to share with you today. Stu helped me and showed me what to do and never made me feel less than because I wasn't a person of status or talent. His humility, work ethic, selflessness continued to shine, especially during his battle with cancer. Stu is one of the most welcoming and kindest people I've ever met. We should all strive to be kinder and gentler like Stu. The world lost an incredibly talented musician and an even better human. This all sums up the Brendan that I know. I have 4 best friends, and my sister's one of them. Lee and Brendan have over 40. They're so close that they really are considered family. Take a look around you today. You don't have a service like this without being an amazing person and without friends whose bond and dedication show them to be what they truly are, friends. Brendan has been part of my family for over 22 years. And there's so much I could say, but I would be up here for hours. So I'm going to talk about the last 2 years because it's a culmination of their love and the family that they created. The family that is blood and the family that are friends. 21 months ago, about 4 in the morning, I had the horrible call that Brendan had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. To say that my family and I were devastated is an understatement. We had faced cancer, and we thought we were done. I lost my first daughter at birth to cancer. My mother was battling cancer for the last 2 years at that time. After that call, I packed up my family and drove to Boston to help out however I could. My mother ended up in the hospital at the same time. Now, I need you to understand, my mom really loved Brendan. I mean, you guys love Brendan, she loved Brendan. She wholeheartedly believed that she and Lee, they were the perfect partner. She saw the way they loved each other and supported each other. She was very proud that he was a musician, and she was happy to babysit whenever they needed her so he can tour. She also loved it because she got to spend time with her first grandchild, Nora, who will always be the favorite. I'm sorry to my children. They created a special bond that my father still carries with Nora to this day. So one day, I went to the hospital to visit my mother, and my father was already there. He was completely beside himself and really upset. And he said, "Your mother's done. She just wants to die." I told him, hold on, okay, let me go talk to her. So I went into her room, and she said, "Kathy, the cancer spread. I'm done fighting. It's in my brain, and it came back to my lungs." Now, my mom was a devout Catholic. She believed in God, she believed in heaven, she believed in prayer. She went to church every day that she could. So she told me, "Kathy, I'm ready to go to heaven. I want to help Brendan, and I can't do it from here. But if I'm in heaven, I can help him. I want all of my prayers to go to Brendan. I can help him, and I will help him." After the tears and a hug from my mother, I got my dad, and we moved her to hospice care. My mother died 4 days later. She died on her terms, with one goal, the goal to help Brendan. She requested that the last line of her obituary read, "Please send all of your prayers to my beloved son-in-law, Brendan McGuire, as he fights cancer and I help him from heaven. I know my mom's been with him every step of the journey, and with him now." Now, Brendan and Lee, they fought cancer. They fought it with courage, selflessness, love, grace, and dignity. If you don't know, most people who are diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, they're giving 5% chance of living more than 5 months after diagnosis. Brendan was one of a kind. With the help of Lee, who became an uncertified nurse with a concentration in pancreatic cancer, Nora, Lennon, and his large family made up of friends, he lived 21 months, 21 awesome months, with love, laughter, and a whole lot of fun. A couple of months ago, Lee told me that the treatment was no longer working. I drove down to Boston late that night. I arrived around 12:30 in the morning, and I was surprised to see that Brendan waited up for me. I was exhausted. However, Brendan and I stayed up for hours just chatting. He loved to just sit and talk. I will always treasure that last intimate conversation with him, just the two of us. During that talk, he told me he didn't want to die. He loved his life. He loved Lee. He loved Brendan. He's Brendan, right? Nervous. He loved Nora. He loved Lennon so much. He wanted to be with them. But also, he wasn't afraid to die, as he believed in an afterlife. He told me he already had many dreams where he was looking down on us. He dreamed that he watched Seinfeld with Nora and Big Bang Theory with Lennon. He dreamed that he had a front row seat to all of our lives. And he said, "Don't worry, I'll be judging all of you." And then his great big laugh filled the air. Later that week, Lee, Brendan, and the girls created a bucket list of things to do. It included things like going to Houghton Pond, where Lee hopes to put a bench in his memory one day. Going to Applebee's, that's Lennon's. Having monster drinks, that's Nora's. Taking a trip to Foxwoods, watching a Red Sox game with friends, seeing a show with his favorite bands one more time, and going on vacation to Cape Cod. We were able to complete a lot of those. And after he passed, we celebrated him with a Red Sox game and having the show he wanted. And if you weren't there last week, it was amazing. And half of these people in this room were instrumental in making it amazing. Now, Brendan probably would have rolled his eyes seeing it, but he would have looked at Nora, look at her face, enjoying it, making memories, and he would have smiled. He would have said it was perfect. Brendan's last week was spent in Cape Cod with family and friends. There were 34 of us spending the night there, with his parents, brother, and sister-in-law visiting during the day. It was really nice. And the last day of vacation was a Sunday. Brendan woke up. He was very weak. Lee called 911. And they brought him to the hospital in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Because of COVID, they had very strict visiting policy. And when Lee arrived, they told her she was the only one that could be with him. Now, she told them that wouldn't work. I'm sure she used other words, but that was the sentiment. And his parents and brother were on their way and were going to see him. The hospital eventually understood and let them in. The hospital did not understand and did not anticipate how loved Brendan was by his friends. Those friends, his family, you. As you began to arrive one by one at the hospital, they wanted to say goodbye to their dear friend. They wanted to assure him that they would be here, that they would make sure that his girls were taken care of, that his girls were loved and supported, and they would be supported forever by them. They wanted to be there to give Nora, Lee, and Lennon all the love and support that they could offer when they needed it the most. As they arrived one by one, the hospital again said they were not allowed to visit Brendan. Now, most wives would have taken those precious few hours and talked to their beloved husband, surround him with their love. Lee would have loved nothing more than to lay next to Brendan on that bed with Nora and Lennon. But that isn't Lee and Brendan. That's not their story. Throughout the entire journey, they opened their home and hearts to all of you. And that's what she did in the hospital that day. She had another passionate, we'll call, conversation with the hospital and told them they're either going to help her find a system to let them visit Brendan or get the transfer papers. She's leaving. The hospital agreed. Lee, Shawn, Brendan's brother, and John, my brother, ushered all of the people to see their beloved friend throughout the day. Now, I don't think I'm overestimating when I say at least 50 people drove hours, and some from other states, to see him. The hospital said they had never seen such an outpouring of love before. Now I have. I see it in their house every time I'm there with their friends who are family. Now, I arrived from New York late that night as I had left Cape Cod the day before. When I got to the hospital, all I could see was a line of people standing and sitting in camp chairs outside the doors. They sat for hours and hours outside that hospital while their best friends were upstairs. They showed their love and support. At one point, a nurse asked my brother, "You don't think they're gonna sleep the night, do you?" In my brother's head, he said, "Hell yeah." But he knew better, and he said, no, they're not. These are the people Lee and Brendan surround themselves with, people who say, "Hell yes, I'm here. I'm here for you just like you're here for me, and I'm not going anywhere." My sister was so connected with Brendan that she knew when he was about to take his last breath. She cleared the room and had immediate family stay. She asked Nora if she wanted to hug her dad. Brendan took his last breath on earth, surrounded by so much love while being hugged by his daughter. It was gut-wrenchingly beautiful. Now, we all know life is unfair. It just plain sucks sometimes. If you're looking for a reason, don't bother. I looked. There really isn't one. We all know Brendan died too soon. We also know he lived one hell of a life. Brendan made everyone around him better. He was one of a kind and had a huge impact on our world. It didn't matter who you were or what you did. He treated you like a friend, and he'll live on forever in the family he created with Lee. In the documentary, Bane, Holding These Moments, about Brendan's band, Brendan said, "In the end, Bane was everything I wanted a hardcore band to be, and I was lucky enough to be part of it. I am confident," Brendan would say here today, "my life was everything I wanted to be, and I am lucky to be part of it." Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. We're going to end the services with the Dropkick Murphys song, "I Wish You Were Here." Please welcome Ken Casey, Al Barr, Tim Brennan, James Lynch, Jeff DeRosa, Matt Kelly, and Kevin Rowe.
Did I fail you some way that you're not telling now? Did I fail you some way, somewhere, somehow? When you took that last step beyond the door, I can't follow you there. I can't follow for sure. It's a road that you take all on your own, one you can't come back from, and it's no place like home. And I wish you were here. How I wish you were here. Out of my own, I'm so far from home, and I wish you were here. Are you watching me now? All alone in this place. Are you seeing me cry? Oh, how I miss your face and the warmth of your smile. Oh, the light in your eyes. There was no farewell, and there was no goodbye. And I wish you were here. How I wish you were here. I'm out of my own, I'm so far from home, and I wish you were here. When I'm looking back on the time that we shared, hope you know you were loved. I know in my heart that we'll meet again. I know deep inside this isn't the end. I wish you were here. How I wish you were here. Out of my own, so far from home, and I wish you were here. I wish you were here. How I wish you were here. I'm out of my own, I'm so far from home, and I wish you were here.
This is ad-lib, so be careful. No. Just thank you so much for this outpouring of love. Brendan's ashes are here. If you'd like to pay your final respects, please feel welcome. And thank you to the Dropkick Murphys. Everyone who came on this stage, we know it was very difficult. We love you and appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
chest in my way, setting sun, dark clouds get around me. To the west, my soul's bound, but I will go on ahead free. There's a light yet to be found, the last pale light in the west, the last pale light in the west. And I ask for no redemption in this cold, barren place. Still I see a faint reflection, and so by it